Hey, what's up, everybody? Just spending a little time in my favorite spot in the entire world in my pickup truck. So, thought I'd take a few minutes to go over a little bit more on the video I created last weekend about my bash RC file and my .inputrc file. Kind of my switching back to bash from ZSH. I kind of explained that in the last video, but I just kind of wanted to maybe go into a little bit more detail on a few of the things that I'm doing in my .inputrc. I've made a couple small changes, and also I wanted to go over a couple of the aliases in my bash RC because I think there's some stuff that people tend to overlook quite a bit when they're using the command line, and so I kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit. So I just wanted to make a quick video here while I'm sitting waiting for my daughter to get done in karate. But do me a favor, if you haven't yet and you enjoy this video or you've watched any of my other videos and enjoy them, please help me out, help my channel grow. I'd like to see it take off here. I hope it's enjoyable for you, but if you haven't already, please subscribe. Like it, share the videos, comment on the videos, give me the thumbs up, whatever. If you don't, by all means, let me know why. I'm willing to change and grow and whatever else. If there's something that is rubbing people the wrong way, then we'll address it. But yeah, let's get into it, shall we? So what we're going to start with is we're going to start with my inputrc, my .inputrc, which is basically the read line for bash. And what the read line is basically, I don't know exactly how to describe it, but if you're using something like ZSH or Fish or whatever, Bash's read line is basically what in those shells controls like your syntax highlighting and stuff like that. It's basically controls the input. I don't know. It's hard to explain. If you go to the Arch Wiki, or if you look up readline, Wikipedia readline, Bash readline, it can explain it a lot better than I can. Probably shouldn't have even tried to there, but whatever. What it is though, is basically it controls like stuff like your syntax highlighting and stuff like that. It does obviously a lot more than that, but that kind of gives you an idea of the type of stuff it does. But basically, I added two more entries here in my .inputrc file, and I changed one of my key bindings. I'm going through. I'm probably going to add a lot more key bindings, but for right now, I changed my Control F key binding, the one that automatically CD'd me into my .config file, my .config directory, because I spent so much time in there. I changed that to where before it would automatically CD me right into it, but now basically I hit Control F and it automatically brings that up, and then I can type in, say I want to go to polybar, so that way I'm not just going into the .config directory and then typing again. I can actually just hit Control F and then type the directory I want to go straight into. Not really time saver or whatever, I guess, but for my workflow and the way I work, it just works a little better for me. And then Control H obviously takes me right back to home, like I said in the last video. But the other thing I added, or the other things I added, let's zoom in a little bit here, shall we? If you go up here, I've got a couple things. This set completion query items 1000. Basically what happens is if you go over, if you're doing an LS or whatever, you're reading through some stuff and you click and there's a ton of them, it's going to ask you, I forget what the default is, but it's going to ask you, do you want to review all of these? Well, you can set how many instances or how many files or how many directories or whatever when you search. With this here, set completion query items, I have it set to 1000 because I don't have anything on my system that's got a whole heck of a lot of stuff, so I'm not too concerned about it. I don't want to have to answer questions. I don't like questions. When it comes to my computer, I don't like it asking me questions. Just do what I tell you to do, dang it. So, anyway, the other thing I added is right here. I have it commented out right now, but you can see it says set completion display width 0. Well, that's normally set by default is -1, and what that means is basically if I come in here, I'm in my home directory, and I have, let's just do this real quick. You can see right here, I have file 3, 4, 5, and 6. So if I was to go ls and I did file and then just hit tab, you can see it shows me all those files right there. File 3, file 4, file 5, file 6. Well, what it does is it puts them horizontally across in columns, which is all well and good when you have just a couple of them and they're named file 3, file 4, file 5, and file 6. It's really not that confusing. But if you get some files and you got a little bit longer names, or there's a lot more of them or whatever, it can get a little jumbled up on your screen. And so for me, what I did is, if you go into your .inputrc and you add this line right here, set completion display width 0, what that does is, now if we do, we're in our home directory still, and remember I did ls file and then I hit tab. If I do that, what that does is it breaks them down and puts them all in one column, just one line, and it'll list them. If I had 20 of them there, they would all be in the one. And for me personally, that's a little bit easier to decipher than trying to go across the screen this way and try and find, maybe one that's centered 5 rows down. It's just easier if they're all listed like this. So this line right here, set completion display width 0, in your .inputrc file for the read line in bash, will give you a readout like this when you do an ls for, if you do an ls and then type in a little bit more. If you just do an ls, it's going to do your normal, it's going to give you everything that starts with ls and go down. But if you're, if you're ll, your other stuff is going to be normal. But if you have, like I said, if you've got multiple files that are the same, like file 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and you do ls space and you type in file and then hit tab, it'll list them all vertically in one row instead of columns. So it's just a little bit easier for me to understand to make out when I'm trying to work on stuff. So that's kind of it for the .inputrc. Nothing big, but just kind of some other cool stuff you can see. And I'm telling you, if you check out readline and go through it, man, there's so much stuff you can do with this. Like I said in my last video, I didn't spend a whole lot of time in bash before I jumped ship to ZSH, and I like ZSH. I do. It's got a lot of stuff that's pretty cool and everything. It can get kind of bloated, get a lot of stuff going on, but I kind of showed a way to minimize that as well, being able to do themes and stuff in one of my other videos without installing Oh My ZSH. But check that video out if you're interested in kind of pimping out your ZSH and not wanting to install Oh My ZSH. But anyway, so yeah, if you're on bash and you're want to set some of this stuff up, check out readline in the Arch wiki, or if you're on Arch. But anyway, it's your .inputrc file, and so if you again add these in there, and you got key bindings down here, you can add it. Just makes things nice, and I'm really starting to fall in love with bash. That being said, I wanted to go over, the other thing I wanted to go over was a couple of my aliases, and not necessarily my aliases, because everybody has aliases in their bash RC. In fact, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people do. A lot of people are aware of how they work. If you don't know what an alias is or how it works, this really isn't the video describing that. It's not going to go in depth about it. Basically, you can make an alias to where you can just type in a single word or a single character and run a command with that. As you can see here, I've got all kinds of stuff going on. But the couple things I wanted to go over with aliases and running stuff in bash in general. If we bring up a terminal here, and one of the commands we're going to be going over is the cp command. CP, I'm sure everybody's used. It's copy. If you're going to copy a file from one place to another, or a directory from one place to another, it's, I'm sure everybody has used it. But I think what a lot of people fail to do, or fail to recognize, or maybe just don't care, or whatever, I don't know, but a lot of people are unaware of these wonderful little things called flags. Whether they're unaware of them, or they just don't want to use them, or whatever, if you don't know about them, or you don't use them, I'm telling you, you're kind of missing out. I mean, flags are amazing. Flags are great. Should go without saying, but it doesn't. Basically, let's... I've got a directory here called tests, and I've got a couple other directories inside that directory called others and over there. And yes, naming stuff is not easy for me. I'm not very creative when it comes to that, but that's what we've got. So first, what I want to do is I want to go over the copy command. So let's make a couple files. So let's touch, we'll just name them file 1 through 5. So now if we do an ls, we can see right here, we got file 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So if I do ls file and hit tab, we've got file 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, we've got those files in there, and normally what you'd want to do if you were trying to copy one file to another is, and I'm going to use the backslash here to escape. If I use this, it's not going to use my alias. So you can see down here I've got CP aliased to something else. So if I put the backslash in there, this is just going to use the regular CP and ignore my alias. So say you normally wanted to copy file 1 to file 2. Well, you just do CP and then do file 1, file 2. Or actually, say we had 1 through 5, so we'll do file 6. So we'll say we want to copy file 1 to file 6. So we just do that, and now what happened? Did it do anything? Well, let's take a look. ls. Oh, look. Now we've got file 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so yes, it made file 6. Well, the problem with that is, as easy as that was, and as well as it worked, the problem for me personally is I like kind of a record of things, you know, not necessarily a record. I like to know that something happened. So basically what I've taken is, instead of just having CP be CP, I've added some flags to it. And we've got a few flags here. We've got the R, the I, and the V. So basically what we're going to do is, if say we wanted to do CP, and now you can see I don't have the backslash on there, so it's actually going to use my alias as opposed to just using the CP command. But what I want to do is say let's do CP, and we're going to do file 2, file 7. So what I want to do is I want to copy file 2, and I want to copy it to file 7. But this time we're using my alias. So if we hit enter, what has that done? That right there just shows me, the V means verbose. And what that does is that tells me exactly what it did. It tells me it copied file 2 to file 7. So now if we do an ls, you can see we have file 1 through file 7 now. So the CP with the V, again, V means verbose, is just going to tell you exactly what you did when you did it. Now what comes in handy what that comes in handy for me anyway, is I sometimes fat finger the keyboard, or I misspell something or whatever. And then after I've copied it or moved it or whatever, and then when I go back to find that and I type it correctly, it doesn't want to find it, or I have to go, oh crap, how did I spell that? Did I misspell it? Whatever. This right here going out, once I hit enter and it shows me, it kind of gives me an idea that, okay, so say I did, let's see, CP file 3, F. Now see, I misspelled file there, but if I hit enter, it's going to go, oh look, I copied it to file 8. No, not file 8, fly 8. Oh, okay, well I misspelled it. But now I know that looking right here. I might not have noticed that when I typed it, but I have this verbose entry here that shows me, hey, this was copied to this file. And so I like that, because now when I copy something, I can get a quick little glimpse of, okay, this is what you did. Is that correct? Yeah, that's what we wanted to do. So that takes care of the V flag. The I flag now is, say we wanted to copy file, let's do fly 8 to file 2. Let's do file 3, because that's the one we just did back here. So CP fly 8 to file 3. Well, file 3 already exists, correct? So if we hit enter, the I means it's going to interrogate you and ask you, do you want to overwrite file 3? Right now I have the option to say yes or no. If I say yes, it's going to overwrite whatever is in file 3 with whatever fly 8 is. If I say no, it's going to cancel the operation. So we're just going to say yes, and we're going to do another ls, and it doesn't show anything, but we have now copied fly 8 to file 3. So that's the verbose up here, showing you what you've done, what you've done. And this is the I, which for interrogate, which is going to make sure that you know what you're doing and that you actually want to do it. So the last is the recursive. So basically, if I cd into others and I say touch file 10, enter. And then I, let's see here. Then I go back a file. No, I do want to go back to, sorry. Oh, okay. So now we're in here. So now we're back in test. And so now say I want to CP and we want to do, yeah, there's other, I can, everything but others to over there. Say I want to move those others to over there. What normally is going to happen is, let me put the backslash in there. What normally is going to happen is when you hit enter, it say cannot stat over there. No other directory, no such file or directory. Okay, well, we got a problem here. It's not letting me do it. Well, what the R stands for is recursive. And what that does is if I do CP other, oops, so here, let's do this again because I mistyped that. So let's do CP others to over there. We hit enter. It says R not specified, omitting directory others, because we haven't specified the R flag, because there's other stuff in that file or in that directory, so it can't. So if we now have CP right here with the recursive flag on it, we can now do CP otters. I'm sorry, it's late. Over there, we hit enter, and now since we have the v verbose flag, it shows we moved the others directory to over there others, and the others file 10 to over there others file 10. So now everything has been copied over. So what these do, again, basically recursive means I can move things within a full directory. The I is interrogate, which means it's going to ask me if I'm sure I want to do something before I just randomly ruin crap on my system. And then the V is for verbose, which basically just tells me exactly what I just did to make sure that it is correct. So now we're going to go to the move command, which I have move, which is basically excuse me, the same as copy, but instead of copying it, you're moving it. And you can see I've got the same flags on there, the I and the V. So it's going to do the same thing. It's going to interrogate me if I am going to overwrite a file, and it's going to give me the verbose output telling me exactly what I did. So we don't really have to go over that one. But the last thing we're going to cover, well, actually I've got one more thing in my .inputrc I want to talk with you about. But the last alias I want to talk about real quick is the makedir command. The makedir command basically makes a directory. I mean, that's exactly what it does. So if we do mkdir with a backslash and say fun, yay, now we have the directory fun. Well, what I've done is I've aliased it to basically v and p. We already know the v is verbose, so let's do my alias mkdir funner. Is that a word? I don't know. We'll do makedir funner. Now the verbose shows me that, hey, makedir created directory funner, and if we do an ls, you can see we've got the directory funner now. So again, it's just that verbose output that tells you exactly what just happened when that command was run, which for me is nice. I like to know what happens. But the other flag, the P, is one that comes in pretty handy. So say I wanted to make dir, and we're gonna do, let's see, funnest time ever. Those are my directories, funnest time and ever, right? And we hit enter. Oh, can't create directory funnest time ever. No such file or directory. What? Why not? Why can't I create that? Well, we don't have a funnest directory, we don't have a time directory, we don't have an ever. So I can't create an ever directory because I can't find the time directory. Can't make the time directory because it doesn't have the funnest directory. So basically what the P flag is for parent. That means if I do mkdir, let's just do the up key here. If I was to do mkdir with my alias with the P flag, and we run that same command, funnest time ever, and we hit enter, now we have our verbose output for the V, and it shows me that it created the directory funnest, and then it created the directory funnest time, and then it created the directory funnest time ever. So if we do an ls, you can see right here we have funnest. But now if we cd into funnest and we do an ls, we have a directory time. If we cd into time and do an ls, we have a directory ever. So that parent flag allows you to not have to create one directory and then create another directory to create another directory to create another directory if you want to go deeper into your system. It allows you to do it all with one command, and it makes life about 100 times easier. So, that being said, I wanted to go over one last thing in my inputrc. And basically, this is really kind of I'm going to say dumb or useless or whatever, but say you type out a command. Let's see, it's sudo pacman -syy -no confirm. Okay, so basically you've typed this out. And actually, let's go back here and say, there. You've typed this out and you realize, well, crap, I misspelled Pacman. Sudo pacman. Okay, what do I do now? Now I can either clear the screen or I can go back or whatever. Well, what we have here is basically, excuse me, throat's a little dry tonight. Basically, what we have here is a keybind to allow for control and then the arrow keys to move back by word or forward by word. So if you hold the control down and press forward, you're going to go forward a word. Hold control down and press back, you're going to go back a word. So instead of moving just by one bit, or I know there's commands to move to the middle of a command or to the end of a command or the beginning of a command, this allows you to go word by word and go through, and so you can adjust anything that is not correct. And yeah, so this right here, the \E and then the square bracket, excuse me, and the 15D 15C allows you to move forward a word or backward. Again, that's in your .inputrc. So yeah, just a couple things I wanted to go over. Again, flags, man, flags are very important. Flags work for you. They don't work against you. They make your work a lot easier. You don't always have to use a flag. They're not always necessary, but just know they are there and they help immensely sometimes. So, that being said, if you found anything in this video useful or helpful, or you knew it already but you think it's cool like I do, that's great. I appreciate that. If you don't, and you don't want to use it, that's great too. That's your prerogative. But if you found this video helpful or entertaining or anything in any way, please give me a like, give me a comment, let me know what you think. And again, if you're not a subscriber, please help me grow, help me get my channel off the ground. You know, I'm not looking to be famous or anything, but I'd like to see my channel grow and get some viewers out there and so I can help as many people as possible. So yeah. Again, have a great evening and God bless.